US seen as bigger threat to democracy than Russia or China, global poll finds.
Here's a summary of the article.
The US faces an uphill task presenting itself as the chief guardian of global democracy. According to a new poll that shows the US is seen around the world as more of a threat to democracy than even Russia and China. The poll finds support for democracy remains high even though citizens in democratic countries rate their government's handling of the COVID crisis less well than people in less democratic countries. Inequality is seen as the biggest threat to global democracy. But in the US, the power of big tech companies is also seen as a challenge. Since last year, the perception of US influence as a threat to democracy around the world has increased significantly, from a net opinion of +6 to a net opinion of +14. In almost every country surveyed save Saudi Arabia and Egypt, limits to free speech are seen as less of a threat to democracy than inequality. Global support for Joe Biden's plans to stage a democracy summit is high in every country save China and Russia. This poll shows that democracy is still alive in people's hearts and minds. We now need to come out of the COVID-19 pandemic by delivering more democracy and freedom to people who want to see their countries become more democratic. The positive support for an alliance of democracies, whether the UK's D10 initiative or President Biden's Summit for Democracy, shows that people want more cooperation to push back against the autocrats.
This post received a score of 13,000, with an upvote ratio of 79%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I think the most shocking statistic is that 71% of Chinese citizens are content with the level of democracy in their country, compared to 33% in Russia and 31% in Hungary. Also, the fact that a think tank funded by Western governments would say that.
It's because if you moved from crushing poverty to a major world economy in a single lifetime, that tends to engender positive viewpoints towards the government that got you there. The statistic doesn't surprise me at all. What will surprise me is if that statistic stays that high with the aging demographic.
Not only that, but they have found that lots of people rather have security over freedom.
That's everywhere though.
Definitely not here in Texas. People stand for their gun right over the fear of being killed in a mass shooting.
Having lived in Texas, it's a place of extremes. Some of the kindest, most generous people mixed in with the most despicable pieces of trash to ever sleaze their way out of the trailer park septic tank.
So just like China. In fact, just like everywhere.
Kinda interesting. For example, 58% of South Koreans say the US has a positive impact on democracy around the world, but 58% also say their country's democracy is threatened by US's influence. Same kinda trend with Taiwan and Japan. How can you believe a country will impact democracy positively around the world when you think that same country is threatening your own country?
If you imagine every country views themselves and other countries with a single democracy metric, a single number if you will, then it's not at all hard to reconcile this. For example, with made-up numbers. Japanese view themselves as 98 100ths, the average of the rest of the world at 48 100ths and the US at 74 100ths. With this view, the US can have positive impact in the rest of the world while dragging things down in Japan.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
For those interested, the report can be viewed here, and the results table of the global survey can be viewed here. Some interesting things about the results that confuses me. 51% of Israel say USA is a threat to its democracy versus 36% of Iranian respondents saying USA is a threat. 54% of Canadians say the USA is a threat to their country's democracy versus 34% of Venezuelan respondents. 58% of Taiwan say the USA is a threat to its democracy versus 43% of Chile saying USA is a threat. 52% of Iranian respondents say USA has a positive impact on world democracy. 70% of Vietnamese res.
Greater than the sample of n equals 53,194 online connected respondents was drawn across 53 countries, with an average sample size of around 1,000 respondents per country. Their methodology is not that good. Iranians that are highly connected online and are likely to happen to these kinds of surveys tend to be the type that are pro-Western countries. The anti-Western Iranians are living inside Iran and don't use internet all that much except to chat with their close friends and family on WhatsApp or Telegram.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes. and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.